Hello, welcome back to APO Live Seminar again. So it's me again over here. For those who first time joining us, my name again is Long from Asia Pacific University of Technology and Innovation, APU. I'm your host for today. So now it's our second day, second session. For those who have missed out for the previous session, feel free to watch our replay at our Facebook page and also YouTube channel. So this whole series of seminar talks is about post-COVID-19 higher education and career. We still have field in data science, cybersecurity, engineering, actuarials, design, and also fintech. So I would like to also invite you all to come to our APU Open Day on next weekend on 11 and 12 July from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Our counselors are ready to guide you through all the pathway available for your further studies. So for more information, visit our website www.apu.edu.my and also follow our Facebook page. So without further ado, let us explore the ecosystem of the design industry. So welcome Ms. Swan and Ms. Debbie.
Please.
Hi.
Hello, hi. All right,
Welcome.
over to you guys.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks,
Cool.
Long. Hi, everybody. Welcome to, thank you for spending your Sunday afternoon with us. Me is Swan.
I'm Debbie.
Yeah, and we are from the School of Media, Art and Design. And we are here today to talk about the ecosystem of the creative industry. Just a little bit of background about us. I'm actually from the technology background, and my research interest is in user experience, so a little bit into the design as well. I have been the head of school for School of Media, Art and Design, and recently has just moved to become the head of School of Computing. I let Debbie introduce herself.
Thank you, Swan. So my name is Debbie. I think all of you would know by now, hopefully. I came from a post-production background, and one of my earlier roles in the industry, for at least the creative industry, is actually to work as a producer. And then later on, eventually moved on to becoming a senior producer before then later on moving to more of a manager role. So I spent about almost a decade in the advertising and the animation and visual effects industry before actually coming over to the education industry, and then of course now starting a school in the last 5 years. Yeah, and then building up the school so that we can actually nurture more young talents to go out for the workforce as well.
Yeah, I think Debbie forgot to mention that she's now the associate head of school for School of Media, Art and Design. That's a little bit of a snippet about us. Then we can move on. For this afternoon, what we want to talk about is the entire ecosystem in the creative industry, from how let's say you have got a area you want to solve the problem. We call it problem as in, we have a content to produce, and from producing content to then sourcing for references, sourcing for content,
And different solutions.
And you go out there and see, talking to clients. Talk to clients, and then you also do post-production work. Yeah. Then after post-production work, that you will move on to do your production work. So maybe you do shooting, maybe you do whatever that you need to do depending on the budget, depending on your client as well. Then after that, you also do your
Promotional activities.
yeah, before promotional, you also do the pre-production, and then now it's supposed to be a post-production. Sorry, I said post-production earlier on. So it's supposed to be post-production after your production. Then after that, you still have to push it up to the market, and then the advertising and all comes in. So we're talking about the entire process here are all involved in the creative areas. So you have different, in fact, each of the stages has got its own ecosystem.
Yeah.
And you have got people doing it. So our school is particularly producing those talents. Yeah. Another bit of information on a little bit of the historical background of us. I think people who know APU would know APU is very strong in technology. And you may be wondering, why are we doing, we're also using words like art. You'll be thinking, are we doing art now? What kind of art is this? So it's really a technology infused creative solution. So you also can call it art, you also can call it being creative. But all this creation like VFX, visual effects, animation,
product design,
yeah, and so forth, they are all very, very heavily technology infused. And that's what we are, that's our strength as APU. And so it's natural for us to go into this area. So it's not like something that totally out of our league. It's actually, what we do best anyway in the technology area. Maybe some of the parents here may be surprised that we are into this area. Yeah, so that's a nutshell. Yeah, so moving on, just to begin, what we will do is we will let you know how big is the creative industry, what is in there. There are a lot of components. I think earlier on I talked about on the post-production and whatnot, those are the stages. But we will then now highlight on each of the areas. Can be animation, can be part of the process that a creative person would do. That's what Debbie is very good at anyway. So we will go into those different areas and give you a little bit of snapshots, give you a little bit more details on what are those things and what are the jobs available out there, what are the job titles, what is it being called. Because we also feel that like some of the parents, when we started the school, we're talking to parents. Some of the parents say, but my child does not know how to do drawing. But this is beyond drawing. It's not just drawing. If you remember, we also talk about technology. But of course, I always say, but you must be willing to pick up a certain sketching skill that will be very helpful. In fact, we also say, Debbie also say, mathematics is also very important in this one. So a lot of people think maybe I don't need mathematics. It's not technical. It is technical in itself, just like any other fields, but the technicality a little bit different from the business field or the accounting field, right? But definitely it has its own technicality. Yeah. So we're gonna show you the all those different areas, and then gonna tell you what are the job titles, and also gonna tell you how big the creative industry is in Malaysia, because you may or may not realize that there is a very big, huge industry here, right? It in itself is already there. So we're going to highlight certain some of the companies that those are the things that those are companies that you can apply to and you can get into. Okay, shall we begin? So
So I think one of the first things that people, when we generally ask people, what do you think is the creative industry going to be like? And a lot of the perception is that the creative industry is, it's something to do with drawing, or it's something to do with maybe some kind of graphic work, or some kind of painting work, and that's about it. Or some people might think that, okay, maybe it has to do a little bit with music, but actually the industry is so big that you don't even realize that you are actually completely surrounded by it. I think if you really take 1 minute to just look around you, everything that is around you now, if you look, you can probably see your phone, you can see your mouse, your laptop
that you're looking at,
the phone your tablet that you're looking at, the clothes that you are wearing. If you have accessories like the watch and everything that you see that is really on you now has to do with design. Okay, there are of course the different sectors that come in that are involved in making the stuff. But then again, if you look at even your house, your furniture, the chair that you're sitting in, the aircon that we all like because Malaysia is very hot. Everything again has to do with design. Even if you had your last coffee machine, your espresso, there's Aristo.
Yeah.
Again, all that are all actually products and outcomes from design itself, and it's all actually coming in from the entire creative industry. Yeah, I think a lot of you will probably have watched, like what's the last movie that you would have watched, what's the last series that you are chasing after. Again, this is another subsector of the industry itself as well.
Yeah, I think it's not just that. I think the creative industry is also embedded into all the other area, including engineering, including IT. I was saying that my background is actually in user experience. That is really looking at the design of an application, computer application.
How to move things around.
Correct. So it's all part of it. So I don't think we can run away from design in any fields that you are in. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And just to give you a broad picture, most of the creative economy, they come from, or at least they try to segment their different areas of their creative industries into these four main categories. And of course, one of them is called the media, which is actually one of the largest one. Then we also have a category that's actually called functional creations. And of course, we have cultural heritage, and Malaysia is actually full of them. Because of our multicultural background as well. And then we have also the arts, which a lot of us are a little bit more familiar with. Yeah. Now, seeing these four big spectrums now, we'd like to actually bring you down to the little different sectors that actually exist in this four big, so-called big spheres, so to speak.
So that you can see, it is a very broad area, and not just sketching.
Yeah. So a lot of the paintings that you see when people do shows, and sometimes when you go to the art museums and you go to the galleries, all that actually falls under this category called visual arts. That's something that we are a little bit more accustomed with as we are also growing up. We see a lot of drawings and all that stuff. Then comes the performing arts, where I think it's starting to build a little bit, where we get to see performance shows like Ola Bola,
Gunung Ledang. There's a lot, and they're usually shown in a very big auditorium. Istana Negara, is it?
Istana Budaya.
Istana Budaya, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's also of course the music industry, and then a little bit more on the familiar grounds are like crafts that we have in Malaysia, like the batik, the labu sayong that we make, all the basket stuff that we also actually make out from the rattans and all that. All that actually falls under again the creative industry. It's just that they fall under more of the cultural heritage because of our cultural,
our rich cultural
background. Yeah. So all that actually contributes to even like the traditions and celebrations. That's why we'll always see that during festivals and celebrations, we'll see a lot of different decorations that actually come up from there, and all that actually falls under part of the cultural heritage as well. And then of course the two largest sector actually that you are constantly involved in, whether you have realized it or not, and we hope that by the end of this session today, you'll realize that, oh my God, everything around you is actually really have to do with design. And we have the media, which comes from a lot of the publications that you see, the magazines that you see, broadcasting from all the different news that you've been getting on for the last 3-4 months. I think a lot of us were actually very into news. Either it's online news or whether it's on the TV.
Besides Netflix, that is.
Besides Netflix, that was like our regular media consumption for the last, I think, 3 months.
And we check in to see the cases reported, the new cases reported, and all those are all online, and those are all media
related. Media related stuff. And of course, we also have like games, and even for some of us who are now driving back to work, we'll probably hear a lot of radio ads. I like listening to radio ads, because then it's like, oh, that's the latest new food that I can go and try out. I was quite intrigued by that. Yeah. And then we have functional creations, things that you use on a regular basis, things like the chair that you're sitting on, the table that you have, the spoon design that you have, that you may, Daiso. I have this crazy hobby of collecting actually Daiso plates and bowls. I like to go, and because I see that there's a lot of nice intricacies with that work itself.
Yeah, maybe it's just not the nice looking, not just the design, but you talk about product design, because we're talking about chairs that you're sitting on, because there are chairs that product designer has designed for, let's say, for example, for alleviating back pain. Helping with your back pain. Or some chair or some furniture for people who are on wheelchair. So that's what we say, problem solving, So these people will need different kind of design. Or even during COVID time now, we're coming back to the campus. We have social distancing, and I can see in the future, because of this social distancing, I think the furniture design will take a new turn, will take a new form of designing, because then because I don't think the virus is going to go away. It's going to be here to stay. And I think with that, then the furniture, the restaurant tables and chairs will have to be redesigned. Instead of just putting a cross there and ask people to sit, like us, our campus, we are very nicely done with a ribbon that wrap the chair and ask you not to sit. But I would think the future, the product designer should be very busy in redesigning either furniture or space on how do you make it conducive or how to make it usable for the new normal.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So this gives you pretty much a big overall picture of what it is. But what we're going to move on next is actually just to highlight some of the different areas that is probably a little bit more familiar to most of you. Just to let you know again how that this actually all involves in the creative industry as well. So media as a section on its own have even its breakdowns, or like the different subsectors again. So we have, of course, the film and audio video production that have been around for a very, very long time. A lot of things that you watch on RTM, on TV3, on Media Prima, on Astro. A lot of the TV series that you see, all the cooking shows, all the Astro Go Shop,
Ipin and Ipin that you watch since young.
Yeah.
I think even though you don't watch it, I think I'm quite sure you
Doraemon.
know that Doraemon. Those are all animation.
Yeah. So all that is actually being done, and before they are all produced, they all actually have to be going through different companies. Then only they are able to produce out them for you to actually view as well. Then of course you have the broadcasting and the radio station. Again, in the past, we don't even have Netflix. We don't have a lot of streaming videos. So broadcasting comes from RTM, comes from RTM1, 2, TV3, NTV7 then came along. I think we had Channel 4 at one time.
There's a Channel 9, is it?
Channel 9.
Yeah.
And then cable TV came about. Then, of course, then we had, I think, Mega TV at one time for a short while. Then we, of course, moved on to, of course, now Astro, having the big names.
Yeah.
And, of course, then Netflix as well. Yeah. But from the media itself, there is also the awareness group. So during this time where people were still trying to figure out, actually what is COVID-19, what is the coronavirus, we didn't have a lot of that information. And media itself actually was used to propel people to find out actually what is this virus, how do we actually really practice proper social distancing? Because a lot of us were just trapped at home.
Yeah, so we all rely on the phone.
You rely on your phone.
All digital media, and you watch all this to learn, isn't it?
Yeah, so then you get a good knowledge, and people are trying to summarize to you, what is actually really about, this condition or this virus about. Because I don't think a lot of us want to scroll through text and of web pages and WebMD just to find out what is this about. So media itself provide that outlet for us. And another area, of course, is publishing. Publishing now, of course, we do a lot more on digital publishing, where you read a lot of articles online. There are a lot of websites that actually publish a lot of different news. I mean, even newspaper are now actually moving fully to digital. I don't think a lot of us now still buy.
I do it for mom. Yeah, but I think a lot of beside that, we don't really buy newspaper anymore. It's all online, isn't it?
Yeah,
all digital. Yeah,
I know. A lot of my friends like to buy magazines. Then they like to check out the latest fashion trends, and guys will look at the car magazines and especially those digital camera kind of magazines, and all that actually fall under publishing as well. And even books is actually considered under the creative industry, even though the written content, yes, is done by a writer, but there's actually a lot of creative input that is needed to write in a lot of
cover design, isn't it?
Yeah,
it could be a book cover design. Copywriting is also part of the creative industry. Yeah, you need to, do your copywriting work.
Find nice fancy words that will be able to attract you and make you actually remember a lot of different things as well.
Yeah, yeah, done creatively. Yeah,
and of course, games. Games is also under entertainment, and games.
Of course, games, I think everybody plays some sort of games. When I say everybody, I mean, I'm saying in a very general term. So you play all kinds of games. There's also serious games. There's educational games mainly for children, but there are also serious games, business games. Business sector using games to educate or to train their employees. That is happening as well. But of course, when you talk about games, is a very huge industry just by itself. I mean, we can also have another talk just on games ecosystem. Yeah, so it has become a huge entertainment sector
On its own.
on its own. You can become a games planner. You can be an event manager for games event. You can be someone streaming. You just watch games online, or you play and let people watch you. That is also happening. Yeah. Okay. I think we can. Shall we move on to the next one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, with functional creations, just like the title itself, functional creations means you are creating something that people can use. And then that is literally everything that you are, like I said, using today. And I think one of the more recent new products that has sort of like enveloped our lifestyle system is, of course, the smartwatch.
Yeah. So
Everyone is wearing some smartwatch. Of
Yeah.
course, there's the Apple smartwatch, there's the Fitbit, there is, I think now, Realme has come out with even their own smartwatch.
Right.
So all these different so-called phone mobile companies have sort of like, created like another area where it complements again part of your lifestyle. A lot of the products that you see is all going to be now very lifestyle based. But then again, your lifestyle products is never just a thing itself. It's embedded again with technology. And in the technology, you have the interface, and then from the interface, then you can actually see that there's going to be design that is required even in all the interfaces.
Correct. And also the look and feel of the device. Yeah. So that, of course, they also come into design, come under the creative area.
Yeah. Then we have fashion and, of course, jewelry. Again, fashion and jewelry is very, very big on its own. Yeah, the clothes design, the costume designs, the jewelry designs. Again, they take on a different big giant sector. And we also have, of course, advertising, and everything that you buy on the shelf needs to be designed for packaging purposes. Either it's for practical reasons so that things don't go in, and things don't fall out easily. But what it makes it attractive for you to buy is, again, how appealing it looks on the outside. At the same time, you want to have that whole unboxing experience for certain things.
Yeah. And I think a lot of influencers actually do unboxing. Doing unboxing as an event, and publish it, and people will actually watch the unboxing process. Yeah.
Of course, the more common ones that you probably relate to advertising is when you always go to the shopping malls, and when people stand at the side and then they will hand out flyers to you. Again, those are all forms of advertising, and to be honest, you will be looking at the flyer and either you'll be captivated by it and makes you want to go and try out that new shop or restaurant because it has a buy one free one offer, that kind of thing. That itself is again engaging you to actually be part of the lifestyle again itself. When you're on the highway, you will probably see a lot of billboards, and then of course you also have posters everywhere. So those are all the traditional side of advertising. And moving on in advertising itself, okay, when we actually look deeper into advertising, there are all the different areas of advertising, such as like graphic design, something that people are probably a little bit more familiar with. And graphic design, again, very, very diverse. From designing logos to making icons to making posters, those are most of the graphic designers' roles and responsibilities. But again, we have packaging design, and of course, more importantly, is to have branding. Branding is where we actually get brand loyalty. You want to get people who are so loyal to the brand that that's all they would want. For example, Apple.
Yeah, so die-hard Apple fan, no matter what, they will go back to that brand.
Only to Apple brand.
Yeah. So why? Because of the brand. Yeah. So if you can create a really strong brand, then you will have strong base of
followers,
fan base, followers,
fan base,
exactly.
and followers.
Yeah.
And that is actually for all true marketing dream, so to speak. That once the brand has established itself, it's a lot easier to actually even push off different items that falls within the brand itself. Then of course we have campaigns. I think in a lot of the shopping malls in the past, you would have seen a lot of in the center court of like Mid Valleys and in the South Court and all that stuff. When there's mooncake festivals, there's going to be a lot of different campaigns that's being done. And campaigns are basically like a series of items that you want to, a marketing plan that you want to do, we have a lot of different items that will help to actually promote either that brand or that service.
Or promote a certain ideology, isn't it?
Yeah.
That, people, again, is creating that fan base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like almost like event management, but at the same time, it's actually event specifically to promote a particular brand. Then we are all now in this digital age where we have our social media platforms, and of course, you would definitely come across some ads, showing in your Facebook feed. You would have
It's actually quite scary. So if, let's say you want to buy something, you will buy a watch, and you go on Google and you check it. Then you go on to your IG account, it will pop up already, and your Facebook will do that as well. So all those are, it's advertising, but it's also how clever the application has used technology into doing that. So it's all intertwined, all this different area in pushing out this information to the public, or in getting you to buy, I suppose. And that's the end goal.
Getting you to either buy, if not at least check them out, so that then you'll be more tempted to buy it. Even if you're not tempted, you probably try to tempt someone else into it. Just
It will
because
be in your mind.
it's like, oh, this looks so cool, or this looks so nice. Of course, online shopping is the next area that we have all been probably indulging with. I know I've been indulging in a lot of online shopping
During the MCO time.
the MCO. I know, because of, again, a lot of the small blasting of ads that keep popping up, notifications that keep coming on the phone, or there's there's the 7/7 coming.
Right, 30% discount, or 7/7, or whatever.
Then you get that like cashback, and then you'll be like trying to put a lot of things in your cart, and then hoping that later that when you have the best deal, then you will just press it and then you will buy. But that's the idea of that's the power of advertising. It has influenced you in a lot of your behaviors, whether you realize it or not. But then this behavior itself is the one that will drive the economy. Okay. All right. Okay, so the industrial design is it's actually considered part of advertising in a way. All right, advertising is one end where it actually starts to market the product. But of course, before you can market a product or before you can market an item, you got to have an item.
I think this is also tied into the engineering side of things as well, right? It's the mechanical thing that is the engineering side, but the form is being designed by the industrial designer.
So the industrial designer will look at the problems, will look at different ways to actually come up with solutions. They may not be the experts in the electronical side of things or the computer side of things, or sort of like the engine inside the material, but the idea and the concept itself, majority actually comes from an industrial designer, because one of their core belief is that they should always be making things better for different people, for different purposes. So industrial designers actually like to go and look for problems. They will try to look for all sorts of problems, even if they feel that the chair is not nice and comfortable. That is also a problem, because maybe it's not nice and comfortable for someone who is short.
Correct. I think if you have been to Japan, if you look at their furniture, they are all generally smaller size, because Japanese are all smaller, tiny and petite. So if you go to America, and I'm quite short, so if I sit on their chair, I probably my legs would be hanging. Or you go to the cinema, sometimes you can't rest nicely because of your height. So again, all those are the problems that the industrial designer will have to solve. Depending on who you are designing it for. So I think in this area, we are not just designing for the prettiness, we are also designing it for functionalities, for usability. That's what my area is. That's why if I want to talk about this, I can talk about it all day long. All day long. So that's what the focus is.
And with industrial design in the past, tying in with manufacturing, when the manufacturing business was booming, when we were creating a lot of our own internal furnitures and a lot of our own products, we also now want to actually emphasize that, of course, there's also the 3D printing, the 3D prototyping that has come into the industrial design area. So of course, 3D printing initially, it was still sort of like in its initial baby phase where you can only print very tiny stuff. But now 3D prototyping is actually very, very big on its own, and it does actually require industrial designers to actually develop the stuff, because they still have to build a lot of the things in 3D. They do use 3D software applications in order to make the things, so that then that can actually be moved into 3D prototyping. Yeah. Part of the industrial design also encompasses the transport or the automotive industry. Although we are physically again not making the car engines per se, but the aesthetic look, how your seat looks, where your gearbox is called gearbox, right?
Your dashboard,
Dashboard.
all those are part of it.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, moving on to the audio production. Now, of course, we started off with advertising. There was the whole marketing thing, and with advertising again, they need materials to be able to promote certain things. And audio video production itself is one of the bigger components, especially in terms of making commercials. So a lot of commercials that you see actually require the audio video production businesses, or actually the sector itself. And if you could probably have noticed that I think in the last couple of years, a lot of Malaysians in the film industry have actually been talked about. For example, like Pascal, Dukun, of course, Datuk Lee Chong Wei, the movie. All this again are all people from the Malaysian industry, Malaysian film directors as well.
so if you do not know what to watch on Netflix tonight, you can watch The Ghost Bride. It's quite new, isn't it? So that's done
by Malaysian actually.
I think Debbie and I were talking. She was telling me that she saw a news just now. This filmmaker, 25 years old,
25
Malaysian, has gotten multiple award in LA.
LA.
So it's in the news. So I think we are emerging in this industry.
There is a lot of hidden talents actually in the creative industry for Malaysians, and with that, even like the Ghost Bride, he himself he created another movie on his own called Guang, and also that was actually recognized internationally for different short films as well. So areas like documentaries, actually in Malaysia also we have the market to actually do documentaries. I think there was a recent one on football, apart from of course Lee Chong Wei as well. I think blind footballers, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
It was a documentary on that. And corporate videos, a lot of the property houses, and you see a lot of the walkthroughs.
I mean, we have corporate videos as well in APU.
So all that is again all under the audio video production team as well. And of course music videos. Now videos, now music, you guys can't listen. You got to watch with it, and then you can dance with it. And then of course we have the games.
So games, I think we spoke about that earlier on. Esport, in case you do not know, we do have an esport academy here that train pro gamers on certain title. So you can check us out on that. But we do offer a program for students to create games. So it's from creating games to playing games. We have it as well. And of course, games you see all the characters and whatnot. We call it assets. All those are being created by the creative people as well in the 3D VFX, in the 3D, in the animation area, where they create all those characters. And of course, then the computing side people will create the gameplay, inputting everything together. That's where you get your games. And as I said, the esport is a
multi-player, complex, and
multi-billion
dollar industry on its own.
So and it has made a lot of youngster a millionaire, when they win the title and whatnot. I mean, including Malaysian. I think we have got people winning 300,000 at the age of 17, 18. And you literally do not know what to do with the money as well. So it is a very advanced area, and there's also VR game, virtual reality, which we have a very new VR AR lab just being set up. We're just opening it now. So in case you want to drop by next week, maybe you can have a look at the lab, and also at our esport corner, where we have got esport academy going on as well. Yeah, so it's all part of the creative industry as well. Yeah.
And of course, with that in mind, like the games, a lot of the assets, like songs that you're mentioning earlier on, a lot of the items that you see inside there requires a lot of designing work. Then this is actually where a lot of the crossover of the talents start to happen. Yeah, the people who are in animation, they can actually also work in the games industry. The people who are in the visual effects can also work in the games industry, mainly because a lot of the different things that they are working on, they're all sort of like coexisting with each other. So that's why a lot of the talents are then shared across all this different industry, from advertising to even audio video production, then even into games arena.
Yeah, so I don't know how many parents are online now. So you may be thinking, don't want my kids to be playing games. But games are used for, they are business game, they are serious game. There are also games to help special childs that need a little bit more assistance,
Learning.
learning or in any other areas, or for people who just want to exercise their fingers, so people with problems. So it also therapeutic in that sense. People also use games to elevate the depression. If you're depressed, then there are certain games that, or rather, the therapist may use this as a tool to help these people. So it's not just for fun. Of course, we play games for fun as well. Or while you're waiting for dinner, while you're waiting for bus, or when you're traveling on train and on flight, you play games. That, of course, that happen as well. Yeah.
Okay. Even my dad, who's now like 70 plus, he's a gamer. Yeah, so it's quite fun to see how he plays game to actively keep his mind working. Actually,
I have seen my friend's grandmother, who is 90 years old, playing arcade game. Yeah, so again, it's just to keep alert. So games is not just about being bad, but it's also a lot of usage in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this slide probably looks quite complicated to you all, mainly because actually this is how the separate little sectors that we talked about earlier. This is actually how they're all now currently kind of connected to each other. Yeah. So if you can see that the client being in the middle, of course, this client can be anyone literally, and it can be someone who just wants to come up with one video commercial or just a commercial itself, or even a music video. How it then requires like a whole different bunch of other people to actually come just to make this one single item, which is basically a video. All right. So when the client says, for example, I want to do a commercial for the latest maybe Apple product release, and nobody really knows how the Apple product looks like. Of course, the agency would be the first people that they would call, then actually get them to come up with different ideas on how do we now promote this phone altogether. Yeah, then they may come up with some ideas, and then after that they will have to find a film director. That's where they will actually have to employ the post-production studio, and from the post-production studio itself, they will then have their own little crew, or actually a very large crew, not that little, a very large crew to actually pull all the different things in preparing a lot of stuff before they actually do their production shoot. And production shoot that we're referring to is actually the film shooting, the video shooting itself. But before they could do that, there's actually a lot of preparation that is needed. And then from the production house, then we will also move into the post-production. So after the film has been shot, the video has been shot, someone has to take all that footage and then start to edit, or basically piece all the different videos together, taking out what is nice and taking out what is not nice, putting in audio in. So audio production house is actually another subsection of the industry, where they normally just focus on audio recording, jingles, music, and all that. With that in mind, all that will then, of course, maybe involve even certain costume designs, because it needs to be done.
Since Debbie talked about music, so you can also specialize in just producing sound.
Correct.
Maybe for games. So you have got the character sound, you got the dialogue, you got the background noise, the environment sound. So you can specialize in that. If anybody who's playing Final Fantasy here, I don't know if there's anybody playing the latest Final Fantasy. That is actually the lead designer is a Malaysian, and by the way, is an APU alumni. And the soundtrack in there is actually being composed by a Malaysian as well. he used the Boston studio to create the soundtrack. So again, you may be thinking it's only a game, so just put in any sound. No, it's I think he used an orchestra, a mini orchestra, to actually create the entire soundtrack. So as I said, your profession can be also just focused as a sound
person or sound engineer.
sound engineer or sound producer, or you may have multiple positions there just to create that sound. So, well, if you say there's no industry in the creative area, there you go. Just the sound itself has got quite a huge on its own already. Yeah.
Yeah. Then of course we have media spaces. Then if you're looking at your digital spaces, there's actually a different team that will actually have to arrange things that you have to see on posters, things that you actually see in the shopping malls. Actually, a lot of the shopping malls have all these big digital poster spaces. So those are all actually managed by Media Spaces House. So they take care of knowing what to put, how long to advertise and all that. So again, this is another different sector.
Creating content, and all those producing, getting a message across.
Yeah,
that's
correct.
also a knowledge by itself. Again, is in the part of the industry,
creative industry. Yeah. Then if we look into physically looking at the product design or the industrial design industry, they work very closely again, with engineers. So especially with electrical engineers, that's I think probably one of their strongest tie-in, because a lot of the electronical stuff that you see today, from the aircon, from your kettle, from your thermal flask and all that actually will require some form of engineer intervention, so to speak. I mean, even as simple as your smartphone and your smartwatch. The smartwatch itself has the physical appeal of it, but then you need the software programmers to actually do the programming side. But the software programmers may not necessarily need to design all the nice little buttons and icons. That is actually where graphic designers come in. They will be the ones that come up with all the beautiful interfaces, but someone has to move all the interfaces.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so then software engineer will come in. Then of course how to on and off the button, and of course all the electrical engineers.
I think what we're trying to say here is it's all integrated as part of the entire thing that we are living in.
Yes, correct. Yeah. And costume.
This is very niche as well. It could be you can be a costume designer, and fashion designer is a bit different. Yeah. So fashion designer is you create fashion. You just wear
wearable stuff.
Yeah, you just wear it and show off. They may not have any function, may or may not have, but costume design is you're designing costume that serves certain purpose. For example, what you see here is probably for movies, yeah, or it could be I always say, like, you need a swimming suit to swim in very extreme cold weather during winter. It's winter, it's the open sea, it's very cold, but you want to swim. How can you do that? So you can have a specially made costume for you to do that. Yeah. So again, this is also part of the industrial designer area, isn't it? Yeah. So as I said, it's different from fashion designer, but these are all costume designer. For maybe you want to do you want to jump off a cliff where you can do, I don't know, flying or whatever. You need a gliding suit that you can actually make that happen as well. And that will require a lot of technology involvement as well. So that goes back to what we said in the beginning and said that this is technology-driven, technology-rich industry or design itself. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think the biggest question here now is,
has the COVID-19 impacted the creative industry? I think it has created a lot of possibility, new opportunities. Yeah. So COVID-19 obviously has created this new world, new normal, and whatnot. I think it has opened up tremendous opportunities especially for the creative industry to recreate and refit and reinvent on certain things. Yeah. So yeah,
we are always trying to think out of the box. So now literally we are now thrown outside of the box.
Yeah.
And because when we throw outside the box, now we can see, there's actually a lot of things that are not explored yet. Because when difficult circumstances come, that's only when you start to realize that, this is probably something that we really never thought of. I mean, just the fact that, how often we actually use our hands to touch every single thing around us. I think only now with the awareness campaigns, then they will tell you that, oh, you have to wash your hands frequently. And that is when you start to realize actually a lot of people don't even know how to wash their hands.
Exactly. So you need to create that video. Again, it's a video production in teaching, educating the public on how to properly clean your hands.
Yeah. I think the video in I think there was one Vietnamese video that was quite trending, and then there was a music video that was teaching you how to wash your hands.
Lots of those are popping up, isn't it?
Yeah. And then of public design spaces, restaurants. I know going out to the restaurants to eat was quite awkward in the first few weeks.
First came back, yeah.
So are we supposed to sit on the X or not sit on the X?
Yeah.
Because X always marks the spot
Yeah.
for a lot of treasure map. But then again,
X is also forbidden, isn't it?
forbidden.
Yeah.
So do we actually sit like this or sit like that? How do we, how do we actually have our social interactions even in this public space? So I think the picture that you see here is one of the design in a restaurant where they created this nice big glass bubble so that that sort of like acts like a shield. It is a lot prettier than the ones that you sometimes see some weird cute putting film over or just big X over. That doesn't look very pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the point is that it has created a lot of opportunities for the creative people to think and to see how we can fit into the newer.
Even like face masks.
I mean, Debbie just passed me some really fancy face masks as well. Again, that's also creativity. Okay.
Because and of course with digital content, again we were trapped a lot of times during the MCO. The digital content consumption has actually risen quite a fair bit, and the amount. This is actually from the latest statistics on how the overall worldwide people have been actually changing their habits in terms of consuming media. And a lot of them actually have had an increase of 35%, even for the last, only like 4 months, quite significantly. And a lot of the media consumption, even the news coverage, because there's so much facts coming out into you, information thrown at you, and not a lot of people actually can digest that whole PDF of text. And because of that, a lot of people who are actually in graphic design actually came out with more infographics.
Yeah,
so
what you're seeing is actually the infographics.
So that it's easy for people to actually digest and read it as well.
Understand it better.
So there was a lot of influx in this. And I think they will actually continue to use this as a way to actually promote the news and information as well.
Yeah.
And again, there was another stats on how the overall media consumption has gone up as well. And of course, social media has actually increased 40 to 50% over the last 6 months or even the last 4 months.
Again, online games, 30 to 39% increase of time spent.
And then of course, streaming videos even more. 50, almost 60% actually people are watching more streaming channels as well. I think of course Malaysia only has like iFlix and Netflix, but there's also Disney and Prime.
I think a lot of people are on YouTube as well. I think YouTube watching as well,
and TikTok watching.
Then your IG story, correct? I suppose those are short, but nevertheless, people are watching those as well.
A lot of the people are still trying to find different ways to even share media content platform, and a lot of them actually eventually moved on to YouTube. And now a lot of people are doing webinars.
Correct.
Correct.
I mean, webinar. What you're seeing now is also part of the whole thing again.
And of course, the increase of lifestyle application, music streaming, video sharing. A lot of these applications actually have come more. Video watching, I think it's definitely no longer how it used to be. 15 years ago.
You use the word video watching, so no longer not even TV watching anymore. So people don't. When you talk about TV, it's all more on broadcasting. So we don't do really broadcast. Means you don't have a timetable to follow. What time, what show will be on. So it's more on broadcasting. It's more on you streaming as and when you like it and you watch it.
So we don't have to constantly have to dedicate a certain amount of time to actually, okay, I cannot go anywhere because, this show is going to go on. I cannot even go to the washroom because I cannot press pause, and I just have to continue watching it. But now, with unlimited entertainment because of online streaming, we can now watch whenever we want, wherever we want. Yeah. Then, of course, with the fact that we need so much of all these different things, we actually need to have a lot of content creators. And of course, the creative industry itself will have to create a lot of contents. Yeah. And one of the main things that actually will give you that wholesome experience is actually using great design and also great servicing. And again, this comes from actually the core essence of the creative industry.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at what are the most demanded job position out there in this area. We have actually collected all the job titles all over the network job street, on everywhere. And we just compiled it into this list, and these are all some of the titles that is being advertised looking for jobs. There is graphic designer, 3D animator, editor. I'm just reading the pop-up in different color, concept design artist, set designer. You may or may not know that all these different titles, but just to make one thing, you can involve all these different titles and different people in producing it. We still got next slide is still a long list of possible titles, but that's more on the management side. This is on the creative,
the hands-on people who actually do
produce
and physically make the things.
Then you have got in the managing side of things, that will be, you have the film director or
producer.
Debbie's past life as an executive producer, the previous job, sorry. The art director, the color specialists, people actually just look at color. Color do play a role in a lot of things. Like, why do you think fast food chain is always using red color? So those are part of it. Then we'll move on to slightly more specific into animation and visual effects industry. So you have got different title again. You can have specializing in textures, specializing in lighting
specialists. All they do is just set lights in the 3D space, making sure that all the lights are correct, so that a lot of things that you see looks real to begin with. They have to recreate day and night in this virtual environment. And how do they actually make around going in?
Also, lighting also give you the perspective, isn't it? Something nearer, something further, and all this.
How the shadow will fall onto the ground, and how it reacts and all that stuff.
Well, okay, I mean, we have seen a lot of all these jobs and whatnot, but really, are they hiring right now?
Correct.
Are they hiring?
They are.
So there you go. We also have we have got our own Facebook page as well, where we always post up all this position for students. So these are the very, it's just like this week we've gotten some company posting to us and say they are looking for people. So as long as you are good, as long as you have a passion, you have the job all waiting for you. These are more example.
And of course, industrial design is picking up because of people needing to do the new development works for safety and hazardous materials as well. So again, a lot of these companies are actually looking for new people to recruit so that they can actually groom them for creating the next generation stuff as well.
We are focusing on the hiring in Malaysia now. But of course, in overseas there's a lot more. So because since we are here, so we are focusing on those companies which are here. We're going to go a little bit faster now just to show you some of the companies in this industry. Silver-Ant.
So Silver-Ant has been around for quite a long time. They have been doing a lot of commercials, but they were one of the earlier pioneers that was doing a lot of different animation series. A lot of it for international market, but now they're actually creating a lot for local content as well. There's also Anima Point, which is actually quite new in the market. They are actually an international company, and they actually have set up another company actually based in Malaysia as well. Lemon Sky and Passion Republic, these two companies actually, again, they started off as actually animation houses, but then they have now moved on into creating a lot of game cinematics. So a lot of the content that they make is actually meant for games, the ones that they have all those little trailers in between games. So they are producing a lot of them, including designing a lot of the assets as well. We have Tao Films, which used to be called Rhythm and Hues. So they are a Hollywood-based studio that's actually based in Cyberjaya. Yeah, so they are creating a lot of Hollywood movie content as well as for those game-like contents as well. We have Pixel Post, one of our very close partners as well. So they are considered like a full-service post-production studio, doing from editing, a lot of commercial work, as well as corporate design work. We have VHQ, also another worldwide company. They have their studios in Singapore. They have one in Jakarta, Beijing, Taipei, and even in Hong Kong as well as in KL. This is also another full production suite. Going a lot to do with commercials, but they now also even have their own film department, and their film department will only focus on feature films relating to a lot with China market. Bandai, a very big animation and also games company. So they are very new in the market, and now they are actually hiring a lot of new people to join the team as well.
Ministry XR is also one of our partner in VR AR area. So the lab that we just set up is also working with them. Then we have Grey, that's the advertising company, multinational, huge company. So they are also here.
ADA, a digital advertising company, also another international company based in Malaysia. And of course, for industrial design, we also have Motorola. Motorola Solutions. And I think we have a student, graduate.
We have a graduate who's now working with them in Penang. So Motorola, you may think they no longer do mobile phone, but they have ventured into walkie-talkie, I think. So they are big on industrial design, actually.
So we also have Expedio Design, who just also did a seminar last week.
Yes,
2 days ago.
I think 2 days ago.
2 days ago. And they've actually started a different area on safety and hazard on its own. There's also More Design, which is actually a furniture design company that is based in Malaysia, and they're actually one of the largest,
isn't it?
Designer furniture store in Malaysia itself. Then we talk about lighting. Lighting again on its own, and Stephanie Lighting, she's actually from Australia, and she also now has set up a company here specializing in design for lighting only. And of course, not to forget Royal Selangor.
So they do a lot of all kinds using pewter, and also doing jewelry design as well. I think we work with them as well. We take students for field visits and whatnot. I think one of our students, maybe a couple of students are interns there as well.
Then of course we have Perodua as well.
Transport design.
For transport design, we have Nest Printwork, which is actually a sustainable design company. A lot of the items they are working towards is actually towards a sustainable design itself. And we of course have also Kuali at Bangkok. So not only companies that's available in Malaysia, but also within the region itself. There's actually so many companies out there. I think we can't even list all of them. This is just some of the companies that we are a little bit more in tune with in terms of our communication as well. But there's definitely, the whole row on the left here is actually all the different agencies that's around. There's the middle one is actually all the animation studios that's around. Young Jump is a company that actually was working on the Saladin project. And of course, the third one column here is actually all the different film production houses that is in Malaysia. And of course, all the different companies in Malaysia here that is actually hiring industrial designers as well. So just to sum up, what kind of skills do I need? So it's not just about drawing skills anymore now.
So in case, some of you are still thinking, I don't know how to draw. But actually drawing is really just very... just a starting point, because later on when you build up your strong skill set, actually we use technology to draw. You don't really too much on the paper. Correct. So but we usually teach that to build up a strong foundation in students. Then they can, when they go out to work, 100% they probably use
computer to draw.
Correct, yeah. But design skill set isn't always just about drawing or making use of the computer. Actually, a bulk of it actually goes into communication. A bulk of it actually goes into problem solving. We always talk about problem solving right at the beginning, and the whole fact is that they're always looking for solutions around it. And because of that, then we come up with all the different tools that we need in order to actually facilitate with that problem solving. And then later on, we need to know how to communicate as well. So because no point designing something and then we just keep everything in our pocket.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we must be able, as a designer now, you also must be able to actually have very, very good communication skills so that you can actually sell your ideas. You can actually tell people how actually this can be used, and you can even convince them to, of course, buy things that you probably don't need to buy.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is just generally an overview of how typically a lot of our classroom activities are like. So students will go through a lot of the hands-on discussions, a lot of discussions again, and then of course they will move to the different softwares. We even have a green screen studio set up so they're able to kind of have a little bit more actual practical hands-on session.
They also do a lot of presentation of their idea, during idea generation stage. In the middle, they will do
work in progress
presentations and final presentation.
Yeah.
And a lot of time they will pitch it to the real client as well.
Yeah. So these are just some of the softwares that we are currently using in a lot of our
Not limited to.
Not limited to, but these are all the industrial-based softwares that is currently out there as well. And of course, we like to go through all this with a particular process in mind. And design thinking is actually a sort of like a benchmark process and a formula. So the students actually will have to go through the empathy process, understanding actually what the audience actually want. Because no point always just creating things for yourself. You can kind of start off from yourself, but then you're always making things for people anyway.
Solving problems, remember?
Yeah. So at least with that whole thing, having to do the prototype testing, that will actually make the product or even the video a lot better. So a lot of this whole process actually goes through a repeat motion until you get the best final outcome that you would see at your hand today. Yeah. And the last bit is actually, of course, actually designer's formula. Actually, this is sort of like the secret trait to becoming actually a good designer in the creative industry. Number one is actually having a lot of passion. Passion is that one thing, and consistency is that one thing that actually drives a lot of young designers actually to move faster into the area, including experimentation, not being afraid to try different things, not afraid to pick on a different software, pick on a different tool, things that they're not familiar with, they need to be able to experiment with. Go and do a lot of field observation, do a lot of live drawings, go and watch people.
Referencing,
People watching is actually quite fun to do. And of course, last but not least, of course, having a good portfolio that you should build again over time. Start off with something that, of course, what you have, but eventually good designers will have separate portfolios because they want to showcase their different abilities as well. And to wrap things up.
So I think what we have covered so far in the past 1 hour is to look at the entire process and to also tell everybody that how big the industry is out there, and maybe you are doing it, you are using it, maybe you don't realize that's actually from the creative industry. I think everybody will use or will be in touch with the creative industry every day. For example, watching YouTube, watching your Netflix, we don't have to go far, or using your apps, your phone, your IG, your social media, all those already part of it. And all those cannot be done with technology, and we are a very big advocate in using technology to drive the design. But of course, you still have to be able to come up with the good content and whatnot, and using technology as an enabler to move the design further. So if there's anything that Debbie wants to add as the last bit.
So we're of course moving on with IR 4.0. And us being the School of Media Arts and Design, we want to of course infuse everything related to media arts and design and make beautiful things.
Exactly, not just beautiful things, but also with very useful and with very good functionalities being put in place. Again, solving certain problems. Okay, thank you very much. That will wrap up our little chat this afternoon. We will now open for question, if there's anything from the audience, please?
Thank you so much for your sharing. What a good sharing. All right, so we have a few audience actually asking a lot of questions over here. Like for example, this one, Jerry Chong. Are social media influencer considered a career in the creative industry?
Very, very, very much. That's why I think the position for this area is Mr. Chong, you just said influencer, so that's already a position being coined for this category. You know, so you can be a professional influencer, and all you do is they pass you the product and you then regenerate and package it as a content to push it out into your social media. Am I right? Yeah,
Correct.
so maybe that means
so
something.
that's like a different form of advertising field that has developed on its own because of the nature of having a social media platform. I think in the past we do a lot of direct marketing. We actually, when we use something nice, we will always go to our friends and say, "Hey, use this slide. This is really very, very good."
Influencing already.
Yeah, it's just that we're influencing on a face-to-face.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we have social media platform. Then you want to influence to a lot more people at one go.
Yeah, and make that as your career. So, but making it as a career, you can't just influence the person next to you only, but you need to influence it to a bigger crowd, bigger in public. So you have to be able to curate the content and package the content nicely and promote it, run a little campaign on social media.
Yeah, so social influencers actually need to know how to do video shooting. They need to know how to design their face, sort of like their postings. They have to make sure that they use the right words. They need to know how much to post. They need to know what is going to entice other people. So in other words, they take the whole advertising and the media and the graphics and they package all that only just for social media.
Actually, Mr. Chong, you can come to our campus to check out our digital advertising course because that's perfect just for influencers, isn't it? Okay, thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so the next question. Hello, I want to ask questions that what major role does creative industry play in for the Industrial 4.0?
Everything. I think the entire presentation that we had just now is actually supporting the IR 4.0.
So I think it depends on which part of that creative industry you want to go in. If you want to go into the games, again, that is just one whole sector on its own where you can do so many different things. I mean, just the AR and the VR technology itself is already going to move towards the next revolution. Not maybe the next industrial revolution, the next digital revolution, so to speak. There's also the movie industry, like we said, the online platform. Again, because there is so much need to create different sort of content. I think if you have noticed, there's also now the interactive series. No longer is just you watching and letting it play. You actually have to select certain answers so that the story can actually move on its own. I think Blacklist was one of those early series that actually requires interactivity from the viewing audience, and I'm sure that we're going to very later on when I think AR and VR picks up, we'll probably be very immersed with the whole viewing content and things will develop differently as well.
Yeah, just to add on to that, you're asking the creative industry. I think it actually as part of the areas that the IR 4.0 is generating. For example, cybersecurity is a big thing in IR 4.0, isn't it? So in cybersecurity itself, you may have a system with very high security measure and whatnot. It could be the creative side can come in as a interface design. It can come in as a educational. You can create an animation in educating people on what security is all about. So in that sense, on how it can support or blend into the IR 4.0. So I'm using cybersecurity as one of the example, and Debbie also has used another area as an example. But in all areas, this creative industry can play a role in that sense. Yeah. I hope we answer your question, Muhammad.
All right. So we go to the next questions. How animation sector is a good option for our career?
If you are Malaysian, then this is a very good question to ask because I think the animation industry is booming right now. I hope you watch Agent Ali?
It's Upin Ipin.
Upin Ipin. Yeah, I think Agent Ali has gotten some award, isn't it?
Yeah, I think recently they went into Oscars.
Oscars, that's right.
Yeah.
I think the animation industry is, we are not just doing the producing the animation, but we are also having IP now. It means creating content. Because in the past, I think the content creation or the IP usually come from overseas because we do not have the talent yet here. But now our talents is coming out, is emerging, and now what was it Passion Republic? The company who is involved in all this
Game Cinematic.
in animation area. But what I'm trying to say is like the company here now is also producing content, producing IP.
Yeah.
So it's a up and coming industry, up and coming sector, which is wow, obviously it's going to be a good option for your future career.
Yeah. I think as an animator, the term animator also comes a little bit more recognizable because an animator actually does animation in 2D and 3D form. But the animator who works in an animation studio can actually work in another post-house studio that actually can do commercial animation. That person can also go into a visual effects company and also can do animation for the industry. And they can even go into the games industry to actually even do animation. So animation itself is really, really big. And you can actually really crisscross and branch out here and there. So a lot of the animators now, what they do is their whole portfolio is comprising of commercial, it's comprising of filmmaking, it also includes animation series, and they even have games in their portfolio. So it's a really large sector.
Depending on where you want to go. Yeah. Again, we hope we addressed your question, Fahim. Yeah.
Okay, so we have it from Mr. Chong again. So where and how should I start to discover whether my passion is within the creative sector?
I think if you like to make things, if you like to explore things, if you like to watch things, that's actually a good starting point because a lot of the designers out now, one of their main channel in getting them to actually go into the design industry is their curiosity. You're curious to know how this is actually made. You're curious to know actually how do they do this animation.
I think when you notice a chair is not just a chair, and you're able to differentiate maybe this chair is different than the other.
This one nicer to sit. That one.
Yeah, it's not just the look and feel. I think it's the functionality of it as well.
Correct.
One of the things that I like to ask students is that can you name me one design that you really like? Like again, don't mean the prettiness, but it's the how when you use it. So if you are observant enough, you're paying attention to details into all this, maybe it is a good start that your passion perhaps lies with the creative sector. Or you can again come into our campus, talk to our counselor or us, then we can find out your passion for you, perhaps.
Okay, maybe the last question come from me. I actually get a lot of students actually asking me, am I have to be very good in drawing when I want to choose design program, animation, visual effects?
I think it's a very...
If I say I'm not good in drawing, then how?
Yeah, okay, I'll let Ms. Debbie answer that question.
If you're not good in drawing, practice. I think a lot of the class exercises and all that actually gets you to practice a lot with it. But I have met artists who actually can't draw at all. But they are working in the visual effects industry. They really cannot draw at all. Ask them to draw, turtle also cannot draw.
So if they cannot draw very well or they are not inclined into that area, so do you mean to say that they have other areas that they can venture into?
Correct, which is the camera, the photography side. So the digital compositing side where they actually take a lot of things that is already ready, but it's knowing how to merge them seamlessly together. So that itself is actually creative work. They might not know how to draw, but they know how to merge things very well together. Yeah. Hope that answers you.
Yeah.
All right. So all my students, you listen. Have you heard that? All right. So we're going to end our session today. Thank you so much, Miss Swan and also Miss Debbie. So
Thank you.
we're going to, this coming Tuesday, we're going to have another hot topic on cybersecurity. So on 7 July, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., we have a live seminar on career in cybersecurity. While on 9 July, Thursday, we have another 2 more sessions. At 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., we have our APU alumni, Jen Wong, to share with you on rethinking university life as a student. Well, Jen Wong is an entrepreneur, online strategist, a youth advocate. He's also listed on Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia list. And also he actually recognized as one of the top 10 new generation business leader in Malaysia. All right. So while on Thursday as well, we have another session at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. We talk about importance of postgraduate study in the post-COVID-19 employment. So for those actually already graduated from a degree, you actually can come to join us on this postgraduate talk. All right. So again, follow our FB page and visit APU Open Day on 11 and 12 July from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Miss Swan, Miss Debbie.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.